Welcome everyone. Today we have got the most incredible guest. I'm joined by Sarah Jayne Dunn, who many of you will know as Mandy in Hollyoaks. She joined that incredible series when she was 14 years old, and now she's been on such a journey. In what inspires me most is she's empowering women through all that you put out on your socials, that you teach in your classes, and what's come from your community. Sarah Jayne Dunn is on a mission to really empower all women. So thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I wanted to
chat.
Go back really to where your journey started and on the path that you're on now. I mean, at 14 to start in television, how was that?
Do you know what? It's mad actually now because my little boy is 9 and I look at him and I think, oh my God, I wasn't much older than you when I started in the industry. I think the industry was very different to what it is now. It's much more regulated now, and I think I really got away with a lot in terms of when I started. I didn't have to have a tutor. I went to school and then I was filming. My mum ran me around everywhere. God love her. She was my chaperone. Whereas I think now they're very, strict on learning and
keeping with school and all of that.
And hours. Like I used to work ridiculous hours. Then I'd go to school. But actually, I wouldn't change a thing because I loved it. It made me I guess confident. I wasn't very confident. I was a really shy child. So it really brought me out of my shell. It pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I had such incredible experiences, It made me grow up probably much quicker than I would have done. I was working with older
crew,
people, full crew. Yeah, and a lot of the cast. So I was 14, but a lot of the cast was sort of 18, 19 plus.
And there was a lot of kind of plot twists and turns and a lot exposing you to a lot of kind of life experience just through the work of television.
Yeah.
But still, that can be quite overwhelming as a 14-year-old.
That's it. And I think it's that, I was learning on the job. I wasn't an actor. I hadn't been to drama school. I hadn't done the traditional route of, getting a casting agent or anything like that.
So tell us about your childhood then. How did this come about? Were you always into theatre and had you done, so you said you've not done any acting at all?
I hadn't really, no. I'd done the school productions and loved them, absolutely loved them. And the path that sort of led me to getting the job on Hollyoaks was through modelling. So at the tender age of 12, in my head, I was like, I want to be a model. I'm going to be a model. I remember telling my mum that when I was 16, I was moving to London.
I love it.
And I was going to go knock on the door of all the modelling agencies. I don't know where I'd got this from. I think it was from, the magazines like Just 17 and things like that. I saw all these pretty girls and I thought, I want to do that. That looks like a fun job. So I did a couple of modelling courses and I did some professional photo shoots and loved it. And I remember my parents being really surprised because I was very shy. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what shocked me. You wouldn't have thought you were shy.
But I think I found my confidence in that. It was something where, and especially with the acting, where you can be a version of yourself that you're not.
Yeah,
you can almost hide behind the lens.
You're kind of being someone else. You're stepping into a different role, I suppose, so you can be anyone you want to be.
Yeah. So it's a way of finding yourself. And I think that's what happened for me. And then I did these modelling courses, which taught me all about deportment, and we had to do a catwalk show at the end, and we learned how to do makeup, and I really enjoyed those. And it was off the back of the modelling courses that I persuaded my mom to sign me up to a modelling agency, and it was just a child modelling agency. And the audition for Hollyoaks came through them. So I'm a big believer in everything for a reason.
Yeah, it's luck as well, I suppose. It's just right place, right time as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously you must have had a real gift and a talent. Tell us about that first day then when you went in. Can you remember it really clearly? Was it quite a lot of pressure? Was there loads of people kind of trying to get the part?
Yeah, so the audition process, I think I went through 3 rounds of auditions. And the first audition, there was about 15 girls in total.
And this was for Mandy role?
This was to play the role of Mandy, yeah. which initially was only for 2 episodes.
Oh, interesting.
So I thought, if I got it, I'm going to go in, do 2 episodes and come away and be able to tell all my mates that I'd been on Hollyoaks and have that experience and meet all the cast. And the character, so she was 15, but she was pretending to be an 18-year-old.
Right.
So it was a really challenging role for me as a 14-year-old who at that point hadn't had a proper boyfriend yet, was very much a little bit of an introvert.
And they push you to really get involved, like with the relationships on the show. There's a lot of trauma and a lot of change. It's quite emotional, isn't it? It must be like, because I suppose you must feel a part of that character after a while as well. Like I've got a few friends that are actresses and they feel like it affects them when there's like a death scene, or it can affect you actually personally as well.
Yeah, especially when you're doing emotional scenes. What I find is, because although it's not real, you're really embodying that emotion. So say you are, grieving for someone, or one of my big first storylines was that so Mandy's dad was abusive. So that was a really big storyline to go into. And
So heavy.
Yeah, really heavy. The man that played my dad, God love him, he's passed away now, but he was a wonderful actor. And actually I couldn't have asked for anyone better that was really considerate of me being a child, essentially, and him having to be, although the show was pre-Watershed, the scenes were still quite, he was shouting and in my face and
there was no, therapist that was working alongside you, or
we
a
had
support
nothing
worker
at that time. Yeah. And I really think that's where it's changed. We would now. And I think even you would have an intimacy coordinator for something like that as well.
There are a lot of scenes like that. I know I follow a few, is it Geordie Porter and Georgie, and some of the actresses, and Claire Cooper, and they were telling me there's quite a lot of scenes you need to be like intimate and changing. And I used to watch it back in the day as well. It's kind of daytime television, and it has to be catchy. So that must be hard as well when you don't have someone. Nowadays they have like you say, intimacy coaches, but you were just thrown in at the deep end.
We were thrown in at the deep end. I remember we used to do nightclub scenes, and there were lots of them because it was Hollyoaks, and
what was
we
it
were
like?
all young. It was horrible.
Was there actually? Can they have music on and stuff like that, or is it like?
No, you've got no music, but you're shouting over music that you can't actually hear. Gets put on in post edit. But we used to have so it'd be a room full of extras who were all really excited to be there. But what would happen is the director would go, right, okay, in this scene you're going to be snogging this guy. And it literally would be an extra that you'd never met before. You didn't know who it was. And you have to kiss this boy or girl or whoever at the beginning of the scene. That, I can't imagine that happening nowadays.
You were in a really key time where it started to, I suppose you transitioned throughout it all because you were there for how many years in total?
So I was there on and off. I was there for 25 years.
Wow, that's amazing. So hopefully things have got better. Well, we say that in television, but
I think in the industry in general,
it didn't seem to in that terms, because you actually got axed from the show. They say in the media, I say axed because it's catchy, but you didn't really. You stepped into your power, and what was incredible when I heard you speak at one of our Wild and Wild events, you decided, which we all should as women, I want to own my own rights to my content, my own imagery, my own body, my right to stand up and be the voice for the future women in the next generation. And it seems that they didn't like that because you had a voice, which you set up an OnlyFans account.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have to put my hand up and say, when I first heard, OnlyFans, I automatically thought, it was quite about, sexual. And, and when I heard you speak, I was like, wow, this is a platform for creators, for empowering women as well as men to be the best version of yourself. And I love just watching your content, even on Instagram, just seeing you on the pole, it's still sensual, but it's empowering and confident, and it makes me feel like I could do anything as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's incredible that you stood up to your voice. And what happened? The show kind of said that you had to make a choice.
Yeah. So ultimately, they gave me an ultimatum and said you need to take your OnlyFans page down, close the account, or else. But it was always an or else. There was never or your contract will be terminated or whatever. And it was the first time, and I was 40 at the time. It's the first time I think that I've ever put my foot down and gone, hang on a minute. No. Firstly, I was spoken to like I was still 16. Wow. But secondly, I was like, well, on what what premise, like what, and I think the thing is, obviously, with OnlyFans, like you said, and when someone first mentioned it to me, you automatically think that it's explicit content,
Yeah, exactly.
because that content does exist on the platform.
And it does, but
which is why the platform is over 18s. But that's not all that's on there. It is a creators platform. You know, there are people doing everything and anything on there. People teaching yoga classes, people teaching music lessons, and then
people don't know this.
People don't realize it. Yeah,
they just, like a lot of things in society, we make an assumption.
Yeah,
like straight away. And it was interesting though. But then through your presentation, you shared, which we can touch on here, but actually, when you started out in Hollyoaks, you talked about when you were a childhood actress, and when you started to grow in the role, they wanted the women to do like lads mags and do photo shoots. And one time you said you were flown off to like Barbados to do a shoot, and it was all men. And it's like, actually, that's quite tough for a young actress to go through, not have the rights to their own imagery, like, and content. And you didn't even get paid extra for it, right?
Yeah, nothing.
And that in itself doesn't, all of this equates to you building in your power, going, actually, I want to have my own content. And it makes complete sense. I think when I'd heard your story, I was like, wow, like, yeah, of course you'd want to take that power back.
Yeah.
Because, like, tell us about that time then when you would be sent off to do these magazines. Like, were some of the other girls uncomfortable as well, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so we were contractually obliged to do publicity to go with the show, but some of that publicity included doing the lads mags of the noughties and 90s, and the Hollyoaks calendar, which sort of became infamous. You know, I think it outsold Kylie Minogue one year, and we got paid £126.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, and then for
so
that,
even if it did well, you didn't get like extra
oh
profits?
No, you got like, I think we got something like 2% of something split between all of the girls, and that was the
2%.
most that year. It equated to £126, and the conversation was, so your royalties this year are £126. Would you like a check, or do you want to donate it to charity? And I was like, I'll have the check, please.
But for a show that, like, I mean, I even watched like Hollyoaks, like, and I wasn't big into television that much, but everyone watched it at that time.
Everyone knew the show, didn't they?
Everyone knew the time. It was so in that period, it was just the best.
Yeah,
so
it was iconic, I think, in that time, and definitely in the noughties and 90s in its heyday.
And so you should have been being paid for that extra work you did. Like, it feels, and hopefully
well,
it's changed
somebody
a bit
was
now.
being paid for it. This is the thing, and we were the ones doing the work and essentially being the brand of the show. But that was, we were just expected to do that. And do you know what? I loved those shoots. I loved that we got to go to beautiful places. I enjoyed, I mean, I always liked doing photo shoots. That's why, my passion had started with doing the photo shoots. What I didn't like was not having any control over what those images looked like, what I was wearing, how they were edited. The biggest thing, and I think a lot of girls have talked about this, not just from Hollyoaks, but from that time in the industry, was the editing of our images.
So like kind of change your makeup, kind of.
It wasn't
like
even
kind of,
makeup; it was our body.
Oh, really?
So it was
it wasn't even just
elongating your legs. So I've got one shoot. Like I've got small boobs, and I've got one shoot where they've made my boobs bigger, and they were just like looked weird and pointy.
And they don't ask you permission.
No,
I just thought you meant like airbrushed.
Oh gosh, no.
So they'd actually change your body shape.
Body shape. Getting rid of. If you look at the pictures, it's like. It was like we were made to look like Barbie dolls, that sort of plasticky finish to our skin, which we all know that's not what skin looks like. And I'm so glad that nowadays that it's people are talking about what normal is.
And the rolls, I love that kind of stuff on socials
cellulite,
where people
rolls,
are just like,
dimples,
look,
like,
it's normal.
That is not, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, bloating is part of like, we're women, we go through monthly cycles.
And who decided that flawless, like flat stomachs or skin, or who decided that that was what is beautiful?
But did you feel the pressure? Like, because I can imagine there was a pressure to have a certain look and be a certain way. Like, did you ever feel that, as in, you needed to kind of conform in a way during that time? It seems like now you're just so in your. Does it feel like a kind of a weight's been lifted in a way? Now you've kind of owning your own content. Talk us through that. So that day when you did leave the show and you kind of like stepped in to do your own content, does it feel like, how does that feel?
I think it was a relief. And also it felt, and people have said, oh, it's not empowering. My response to that is always that, well, I have never felt more empowered in my life. So if I feel empowered, then it is empowering because it's empowered me. Yeah. It's not about you. It's about what it's done for me. And I think just for once using my voice, and actually then off the back of that, the freedom that it's given me in every single sense of the word, the freedom of, control over my images, my body, the way they're not edited, freedom of speech, freedom of my opinions, of my voice, freedom of my time, freedom of my schedule. And I've never had that. I've always been, in one way or another, controlled.
Yeah, like you'd never got to choose the final cut, I guess. It
Never.
was like
or
the
who
storyline.
I worked with, or
And is it true that you didn't even get to go like do a bye scene, like a death scene or of any type? Like they didn't even get you back after that conversation.
That was it. It was a termination with immediate effect, which was crazy because I was still on screen for 6 weeks after that because I'd filmed 6 weeks of episodes. So
that must
I
have been
think
a hard
it was
time because in a way, I guess you feel that it's part of you. I suppose Mandy will always be a part of you.
Yeah,
and
she will.
She's the character that you lived and kind of breathed for so long, and that must have been quite a shock though to go through, like a grief in a way, was it?
It was just, I think the hardest thing was the lack of closure.
Yeah.
Not being able to say goodbye
to the fans. It's all the fans.
Yeah, I think the biggest disjustice they did was not giving the viewers and the people that supported the show that closure for the character. That character she was a massive part of the show. She was one of the originals. She was one of the people that when you think about Hollyoaks back in the day, everyone thinks about Mandy and Tony, Mandy and Luke. And, we are the ones that people will go back to and will forever be a part of that show. 100%. You can't erase that. So I think it was a big disjustice to not give her the closure for the audience, to get me back in to film one scene, just to go, by the way, I'm off, I'm leaving. Yeah. It was done in a letter instead. But also, I think it was, I've been professional and loyal to the end, like actually more than I probably should have been over the years. So to not allow me to go and just say bye to people that I've known since I was 14.
You'd think you'd have like a goodbye party or get everyone together like that.
Just something,
But it kind of sums up sometimes the world we live in. Not in everyone. I'm not saying that, like, I generally live in quite a positive mindset. Yeah. But, I mean, we've just been through something as well. And I thought this stuff was in the past. Like, I honestly thought, some of the corporates are a bit... just it's very male dominated, and we know that there's still there's not equality within women and men,
not at all,
but there's still so much that we as women need to stand up in our power. So we have in the press got banned from a venue that we recently did our empowerment event at, which was so beautiful. We had like nearly 50 women listening to you speak on all of the things we're covering today, and you did a presentation which was about 45 minutes long. It was just a few people got quite teary actually, because you talked about like your journey through marriage, your son getting like sepsis at one point, and you having to juggle life and motherhood and then to creating your own content, and it was really moving. And then to be at the end of the day, me be faced with a complaint saying we thought it was inappropriate, this slide. There was a few slides that showed her on a pole with her leg in the air. I was like, well, wait there. Sarah does pole fitness, and this is her story. This is her business. And then they banned us. So I've been working there for 2 years for me doing events there ever again, which is mad.
I still can't. This still blows my mind. Does. I am still like, did that actually happen? I keep replaying the day going, it was such a gorgeous day. Everyone had such a really nice time. It was a female empowerment event. The irony of that, and then
crazy. And that happening, and it being a woman that spoke to me. It was
a woman. Again, this is what absolutely devastates me, is that it's hard enough being a woman living in the world that we live in today. And I think there's so many women speaking out, and that's fantastic. But we've still got so much work to do. And I think even currently there's been a lot of going backwards for women, hasn't there? And
we're like that. And like this in itself, like I'm so glad you shared about it, because I got the email. It was actually after a yoga class. I came out and I was having lunch with some friends, and when your phone just dinged up, and I was like, I just saw it instantly, Alderley Park, something. I was like, whoa. And then I just took a breath, read it, and I was like, and it was like a teacher was talking to me, like, you're in trouble, effective immediately, you are dismissed, you won't be able to come here again. I was was like, this is bonkers. And I kind of just sat with it and I was a bit shaky and I went on the school run and I thought, I'm just going to let this pass. I'm sure it'll pass. And then I'm really glad you went onto Instagram and shared about it because it gave me the voice. Then when I shared, oh my goodness, like 150,000 views on it, comments, hundreds and thousands of comments. And so many of those comments were, gosh, you've made me today feel like I want to speak out and tell my boss this, or I've been holding this in and not told my mum, or, like random stuff, but meaningful stuff. And it makes us realize that us as women, if we're going through a tough time, speak out about it. Raise your voice. And that's what seems like you're about at the moment. Yeah. With all that you do.
I'm trying. And I feel like if I can give one other woman the power in herself or the confidence in herself to speak up about something, whatever that might be. It might be the smallest little thing, but actually something that she's been holding in that makes her feel better about herself. It might be trying a new class. It might be stepping out of your comfort zone. But without other women like yourself as well, like speaking out and going, actually, this isn't okay. Or why shouldn't I, dress how I want to dress? Why shouldn't I, put my hair up in a messy bun because I can't be arsed washing my hair? All of the things that...
And just to touch on that day, you didn't wear anything inappropriate. Like, they were saying it was inappropriate that you got on the pole. And I mean, it was only for like 10 minutes or about half an hour that we were doing. All the guests were having a little go on the pole. And I mean, you're in fitness clothes as well. So it's not, there was no way there was anything inappropriate about that day. And now they're putting it down to health and safety, which again, we know that the pole company is so safe and it's fitted for an equipment, like a space like that. Yeah. So it's just kind of these kind of lessons in life that we just move on from it. Obviously, I'll never go back to that venue, but it makes me go, it was funny the day after I got an email from this hotel that I've been wanting to work with for years. Like literally, I've been emailing them for years. And they've just given us the okay to go ahead.
Oh,
so I was like,
amazing.
I feel like the universe works in interesting ways.
Yeah, one door closes, another opens, everything for a reason. But I think it just shows still, like you say, how far we have to come. Especially, I think pole is another thing where there's so much stigma and taboo still surrounds it. There's a lot
let's talk on this because I want to hear more about pole fitness. So when was it you got into this?
So I started 3 years ago and absolutely fell in love with it immediately. I did my first class and I went home to John, my husband, and I was like, I found my thing. And he's like, okay. And I was like, no, this is it. I'm obsessed. He was like, okay. And I've just grown and grown. And it is, for me, it's the community. It is such a safe, non-judgmental space that is fully inclusive of everyone. It's majority women, but that's not to say men can't come either. We've got one guy that comes to class and he's incredible.
I can't wait to try one of your classes. I've just been so, when you have so many things you do, like I've got yoga and I do high rocks and running.
We need more hours in the day, don't we?
And 4 kids.
And you've got a business and you've got children and a husband and all of the things.
I need to prioritize though, because I do feel that that's something, since having children, and probably it's so important to connect back to that creative side. I've never really been into like dance and stuff, but when I do it, like at a women's circle or if I'm out with friends, you feel so good and it feels like it's a form of like dance in a way because you're kind of moving around the pole and you're like kind of connected to the self and the core and what was it that lit you up about it so much? Like
I just, again, like I say, the space. I walked in and the women were just also gorgeous and everyone was like, said hello and made sure that I knew what I was doing and had what I needed. And I think you can walk into some spaces as women, and I've experienced this in the industry and outside of the industry, where you feel like judged. It's cliquey or you're being judged.
Maybe in the modelling industry, can it be a bit like that sometimes?
TV, modelling. And I think in TV, a lot of it is because you're being pitted against other people actors, in auditions or someone's got the part that you wanted or vice versa. And
it is that difficult. Kind of, I think we have been raised with that kind of, like, you got to hustle to be good in business or be good in life and be the best mother. And it's like, actually, we don't need to hustle and be against each other, competitive. We need
I
think
women have been pitted against each other just in general, haven't they? I think that's society. Like, that's what we've been told, that you've got to be better than other women or like who does she think she is? Or
like The Apprentice or these shows that are like, beat the next, and it's even with men, like and I feel because of this gender inequality, it's like we need to be like stronger than the man or like push them down. It's like, no, it's not about that. Still be collaborative with men and still support other women in your businesses or work life. And motherhood, you know, it's not a competition. And even
we need
motherhood
each other, don't we?
Competition sometimes. Like I remember going around people like sharing the birth stories, and it'd be like, you feel a bit judged, and it's like, this is so crazy.
Yeah, how can I make mine worse?
Let's just be like nice to each other and supportive.
Yeah, and that's what I've found again through Pole, which I've never had, is finding a group of women that are literally supportive in every sense of the word. Like, will hold you up and show you where to put your leg on the pole, or will,
literally.
invite you literally, or will invite you out for drinks, or will drop you a message if they know that, some of them will message me if they see something a bit rubbish on social media. They'll message me, and I've never had that before. And so that is what I fell in love with. But then the sport itself it's just really challenging.
So challenging. I mean, I do a lot of CrossFit and like weightlifting. So I was like, I'll have a go at this one time. And I was like, oh my God, the core strength you need. Like, you make it look really easy. And especially in like heels and stuff. I honestly don't know how you do it. Like, even just I've started to do a pull-up. I've like mastered the pull-up this year, which I'm like, yes.
Yay.
But to try and hold yourself out on a pole with your legs straight, which she kind of demoed to us on Oldley Park, I was like, how on earth? How long did that take you to be able to do?
Well, it's still, this is the other thing I love about it. Like, you're never going to be the best.
It's like in yoga, I suppose. Like, there's still so much.
So much to
you're always
uncover.
the student first. I always say that in yoga. Like, you're always learning.
Yeah. And it's all about skill and technique and showing up consistently. And, I go to the gym to complement pole so I get stronger.
So do you do like weightlifting?
Yes, I do weightlifting as well, which I literally do for pole so I can be better at pole.
Yeah.
And there's so many different, I think the thing with pole is people think of pole and they think of pole dancers in a strip club.
Yeah, like or an entertainment for men.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't it be for yourself?
Yeah, but I think that's where the stigma comes from. And I think, do you know what? We have to honour that's where pole dancing began. You honour the roots, and there's nothing wrong with the sex workers that do that. That's their prerogative.
It, like,
that's their choice.
Yeah,
But if you follow any pole artists, there are incredible men that do it, that are the strongest men you will ever see, that do this beautiful. It is art on
like
on the pole.
In a way.
It is like gymnastics. That's a really good comparison. I feel like pole has that. I always say as well, if you turn the pole from being vertical to horizontal, suddenly you're on a gymnast bar and no one bats an eyelid.
Well, that's why I said, like, that my comment on Instagram when we got banned from this venue was, what about if a male gymnast got on stage and showed his pictures on a pole doing the exact same thing you were doing, but horizontal?
Do you know what? It's interesting you say that because there is an incredible creator that I follow on Instagram and she does pole. She's awesome. She's not a pole performer, but she's very good at pole. She's been doing it years. She loves it. And lots of pole artists are getting shadow banned on Instagram. Doing the sport.
Even the name and stuff like that.
Just any sort of, I think sometimes it's just one of the things that gets flagged. Interestingly, she changed her gender on Instagram from female to male, and she's not had anything taken down since.
That's crazy.
And I just go,
just
wow,
shows.
wow. So if I'm suddenly a man on Instagram, you'll know why. That's why.
I bet that's like it with so many different things. Like, because I know there's so many different women that come to my networking events that are like, they could be like sex therapists, and they're like, but men doing that area of expertise they don't get pushed down as much. It's so funny, isn't it? And like, so how do you find balancing then everything you do? Because you seem like you're an actress and you're a pole fitness teacher. Because you teach every week or
I
more?
teach every Monday now.
Okay,
yeah.
And you're still on television a lot, like doing interviews and motherhood. So how do you find balance in it all? Have you got some self-care rituals? Like, is this your self-care ritual, your pole? Like, or have you got others as well?
I try and balance life so that when Stan is at home and around, I can put my phone down and I'm not working. Nice. So the freedom that I have now is that when he's at school, for me, that's my working hours. But also I will take time to go to a pole class. I will take time to go and get a facial. I go to the gym.
Nice.
I think now I'm very lucky in that I manage my own diary. If I was still filming and still at Hollyoaks, there is no way that I would be able to do these things.
Like, honestly, like, especially those that go on to have like 2, 3, 4 kids. And I'm like, I remember Claire when we had a podcast together, Claire Cooper, and she'd tell me like the juggle, she'd have to get up so early. And I was just like, wow, like no one realizes, I don't think, how much work there is involved, especially when you were a teenager, like juggling school life.
That was probably the hardest. And then when I first had Stan, I went back to Hollyoaks when he was like 9, 10 months old. And that was a challenge because obviously at that age you still wasn't really sleeping through the night. And you don't finish filming and then you're done for the day. You finish filming, you go home.
What's it like then? What times? Like, do you have to be in super early?
Yeah,
And then it could just carry on to like in the evening?
Yeah, so if you're doing a full day, you'd be in from 6:37, depending on what time your makeup call is. You're on set at 8, and then you might film. So if it's an 8 till 8 shoot, you'll film till 7:30. So you wrap at 7:30. Then I was an hour drive home. So by the time I got home, it's like 9.
Like breastfeeding or anything like that, if you've got the commitments or just being with your baby.
Yeah,
just not happening.
Well, and he used to go to the nursery. So Hollyoaks had a nursery on site, which was really, really handy.
That's good.
So he used to go to that nursery. So I would pick him up, drive home, have my tea, get him to bed, spend some time with my husband, learn your lines for the next day. So you're not just going, right, I'm done. You then have to prep, learn everything for the next day.
You get paid for that, like extra, for no, you just have to do the lines.
That's just, and some people didn't, but that's not how like some people could look at the lines in the morning and go, right, I've got it. That's not how I work. That Everyone's really different.
Scares me about like acting because I'm like, I don't think I'd be able to I'm so in the moment. Like even, when I'm doing a podcast or teaching a yoga class, I like to just go in the flow.
Yeah.
Even if I have a bit of a script. But to actually can you go off a bit though? Can you if you felt like saying a different word or is it that straight?
It's not. It depends who you've got. It depends. Like I used to change things quite a lot because some of the scripts
and they trusted you, I guess. You were,
some, I'm not gonna lie, some were rubbish, but it would all then depend on the director, or you have a PA who's the continuity for the day. Then anything that you need to change has to be approved. So you can't just go, I'm going to get rid of that line or I'm changing that. You're
vetting it at night. Yeah. You're going, oh, I don't like that. I'm going to add this.
That's not right. Sometimes things would be wrong.
In the morning. Yeah. Gosh, that is full on. So I'd love to talk a little bit about your coaching. So I know you've trained as a coach.
Yes.
And I think it'd be really nice to give people a little bit of value. So those that are listening, if they're feeling a bit low in their lives right now, or they want to achieve great things like you've done in your life, or have more confidence in themselves, what tools have you found that's really helped you?
So I trained as a master intuitive psychology coach last year, which was really eye-opening for me, but also I absolutely loved it. So to train as a coach, you have to do the work yourself and then you have to coach. I think we had to do 60 hours of coaching. But what I got from it, and that's the reason that I did it actually, more to benefit from it myself than to possibly take it forward. I do use it now in my writing more than anything. But what really benefited me was going inwards, was having that time to stop and talk to someone and so we did inner child work, shadow work, all the stuff that sounds really scary, but actually when you do it, and when you do it, I always said this with my coaching, when it talks about we're going to go into the shadow, the shadow sounds really scary, but actually when you go into it, you're unearthing what needs to be dealt with, and you can then bring that into the light, and it's really, really helpful. And I wish that I'd done more self-work as a younger woman. I'm so glad that I've done it now, because some people will never do it, and I think it's so important, but I wish I'd done it sooner. And I really now enjoy, if something comes up and you feel a certain way, allowing that feeling to come through rather than going, I better shut this down or this doesn't feel nice, to actually sit with it.
Yeah, there's a toxic positivity we have in our society, just keep happy all the time. And as Brits, I think we're very much how are you? Oh yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, everything's good. It's actually it's okay to not be okay, and just to recognize, where's this coming from? Can I just feel within for a moment and be oh, that actually could have been from grief from this time or from a past experience. And I think it's so essential that we do it. And seems like you were very busy in your childhood, though, to do these things as well. You would dive straight
I don't think I would have had time,
but it's great that you've had that time now to reflect. And have you got any plans to take that further then, or is it just something that's benefited you?
It benefited me, and I write for Brood magazine. I write a bi-monthly column called The Empowerment Edit, and I use a lot of the techniques and the practices in my writing. So I found it really helpful for that, because actually I feel like I'm writing from a place of knowledge rather than just going, well, I do this and this feels great. I've actually got now experience and knowledge.
The intuitive psychology, is that different from traditional coaching then? It's more you're going down the psychological route and the deeper levels.
Yeah.
Kind of Is it looking at like past childhood and you're going through all the stages?
Yeah, so we work through past, present and future self, which is really interesting as well. So I've done therapy, and I, again, would tell anyone to go to therapy. Don't be shy about it. Like, it's brilliant, and to have that safe space to vent and to feel and to express is just fantastic. But actually, I feel like the coaching served me better because it did, rather than just going, right, what's going on now? How do you feel now? What can we do about it now? It's going, well, where does this feeling come from? Yeah. How do you feel in the present moment? And where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? How can we get there? Working with all different parts.
That's interesting.
I feel
like we've
fascinating.
had a few people on the podcast that have said the same, that like traditional forms of therapy just haven't been, because I did a psychology degree actually.
Yes.
It's interesting because I was all for, when I was learning about it, CBT and like all these different forms. And actually I feel like it's great. Those things are great on the NHS and things, but there's still so many things in society, like even children now are facing deep depressions and anxiety. And it's like, obviously there's so much more work that needs to be done. And actually it's kind of like bordering on the spiritual side more, going deeper into the soul and like your purpose, I think is maybe not looked at in the NHS as much.
Well, that's exactly what IPA is. So it's a mixture of spirituality and psychology. So it's like a blend, and it works beautifully. Yes, it's Jill Ritchie.
So I've been chatting to her a little bit.
Jill is amazing. So I always call Jill she's like my little guardian angel. So me and Jill connected when Stan was poorly.
Right.
She just popped up out of nowhere. Could sense that I needed something, needed someone, and we connected through that, and she's just been amazing. So I've had coaching with Jill. I did IPA with
so
her.
Wise. Like when I listen to her, I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it does, and it's different to traditional therapies or coaching, but for me personally, and everyone's different, different things will work for different people, but for me personally, I'm quite a spiritual person, so actually I really connected with it. And, we talk about manifestation and visualization, and they're all things that I'd done anyway previously.
Yeah, so had that come natural to you? Because I do find like when you look at the top most successful people, they usually do have like some kind of visualization techniques or manifesting or even meditation. Like when did that start for you? Like was it just something that came more natural, or did you hear it from someone? Or?
Do you know what? I don't know, because I look back at like journals and diaries. I used to write a diary religiously when I was probably from being age 12 to being early 20s, like
so
every single night.
Maybe like what you wanted.
I think so. I think without even realizing that I was doing it, it's like one of the first, I like cars, and one of the first cars I got when I had money and I was in Hollyoaks was a red sports car. It's what I'd always wanted. And I remember vividly saying to my dad when I was younger, I'm going to have a red sports car.
Love it.
And I got that red sports car. I was like, oh my God, look at me, like living my dream. How did I do this? Like, what else can I do? Like, this works. But I'm quite a positive person as well. I think like you said about yourself before, I tend not to dwell on the negative. And I think that's just me personally. I'm quite an optimist, and I do believe in everything for a reason, and
you find the good in everything, every situation. I feel like you have to, because life can be tough at times.
Yeah,
you've just got to look.
You've just got to ride those, and there's always going to be peaks and troughs. And I think when you are in a bit of a position where you're like, oh, everything feels horrible and heavy, and I don't know when this is going to feel better, is just as hard as it is to try and ride it out, because there will be those good times again.
And have you had any of them moments in your life then where you've been really low, or like reached that point of anxiety or stress? I mean, I guess it comes naturally with being on television, like the pressures, or have you had that or not really?
I've had it with relationships.
Okay.
I was in a really toxic relationship, and I don't think I really realised at the time how low I was until I got myself out of it. I think I knew because I managed to get myself out of it. And once I did, I was like, and
how did you manage? Because I hear this so much that people just stay in them relationships. How did you manage to get out? Was it someone just inspired you
I listened to my gut. I'm a big believer again in intuition and your gut. And I knew the little voices in my head were going, this isn't right. You're not happy. This isn't right. And, then you've got the other voice going, well, you can't, we were planning a wedding.
Wow.
We'd booked a wedding, so I had this other voice going, well, you can't cancel that. And you live together
now.
And you can't back. And then
and you're in the social eye,
like
everyone's watching you, and
exactly.
that must be hard. Yeah.
And then I think I had a conversation with my parents. I went to my parents one day and I was like, I'm not happy. And it was them that went, you can get out. you can do it. And I was like,
sometimes need
can
that
I?
permission? Like, go for it. Just
do
leave.
it. We're here. Like, and I was, very fortunate that I had that support around me. But I knew, and I think you just know, and, had I have, thank God I didn't stay in that relationship, but, I'm now in a really happy relationship and I've got a beautiful child and, there is the light on the other side of these things. I think you have to just lean into that little voice that knows. It always knows.
Yeah, like your gut knows. We need to,
Always
and
knows.
I think we're so bombarded with like the emails and notifications of scrolling, like in our day-to-day life, we need to just trust in our gut more than following what other people are doing. Like,
Absolutely.
so much noise going on all the time.
But I think that's where like what you do in yoga and meditation really plays in as well, because you have that time to sit with yourself and be quiet.
Calmness. But a lot of people say to me, I can't come to yoga because my mind doesn't stop. And I'm like, where do you think I started? Like, I couldn't touch my toes. I wasn't flexible. And my mind was so anxious and busy. And like, that is the whole point. But when you start coming, I guess it's like with pole fitness, like you're building the strength and over time, like, or with anything, like if you're learning to play the piano, you just need to be consistent and then you'll get there.
You're learning the technique,
and
aren't
then
you?
things start to slow. And I think though, in other sports, I found it like after going through grief, like with running and things that I didn't expect to find clarity in, where you can still get to that point of like calmness in the brain. And I guess you get that in pole fitness as well.
Yeah.
It's just like a stillness.
Oh, it's my hour of just me time. Yeah.
And do you do it at home then? Have you got a pole set up at home?
I have got a pole at home, but my ceiling's not really high enough, so I can't go
everything.
upside down on it or anything. But I've got one at home.
I didn't realise how much equipment it was. When you came to set that one up, I was like, blooming hell, that was
they're
heavy.
big and heavy to move around, but they're specifically made for moving around. You think they'd be lighter, but they're great.
So have you got like a vision ahead? Like, do you want to go back into any acting or just getting on stage? Like, talk. I feel like you're so destined to go on stage. Like, you were such a natural just to empower all them women. Or I feel like you should have a book, or there's so much. Like, have you got any goals, like 5-10 year plans, or are you just going with the flow?
I'm going with the flow, but I do have things that I definitely want to do. A book is in there that's been on my bucket wish list for a few years now. It's one of those that I just feel like I need to commit. I need to sit down. It needs to be the right time, and it needs to be about the right thing. I feel
like now is the power, because look at your voice.
Is now the time.
Voice is rising.
So I think finding my own voice and being able to share that now is like I'm really enjoying. So I think more of that. I'm enjoying, I like you say, I go on TV shows and radio shows and things like that. And it's really nice just to sort of to go and be me and not be a character. And as much as I do miss acting, because it's, it's all I've known since I was 14. I'm not missing it enough to put myself back into that audition pit. I never enjoyed that. I think I said this in my talk. I never enjoyed the auditions.
It must be a lot of stress. And I feel like you're at a level now you were even on like that Batman and like you've done loads of...
Batman. That's my claim to fame with my son. Your mum was in Batman.
I feel like you've got that experience behind you that it just needs to be a role that suits you and your lifestyle, doesn't it?
It needs to be something that's right for me. Strictly is up there. I would love to do Strictly. That's like my ultimate. I'd pay them to do it.
Oh
do you
my
know
God,
what I mean?
that would be
the best.
Let's put that out in the universe.
Putting that out there. Yes. Stan wants me to do Celebrity Gladiators.
Oh my
Apparently
gosh.
I've got to do that.
You need to do that. I would love to get on Gladiators.
Yeah,
It'd be so
I feel like
fun.
my pole would come in handy for that with like hanging on and the core strength and stuff.
You'd definitely get them down.
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots that I want to do. I'm like I say, with pole, I'm absolutely obsessed. I might compete in pole because that's being on stage performing. Right. So I feel like that.
How does that work then? Is it like all across the world? Is a pole?
There's loads of different competitions and loads of different styles. There's more artistic ones. There's more strength ones. There's some that are just for fun. Wow. But I feel like because of my background of, TV, stage, performing, that bit wouldn't actually scare me. But pushing myself out of my comfort zone to do pole in front of, being judged. And I think...
I think as we kind of go through life, we always need to push ourselves to those comfort levels, don't we?
Definitely.
And do you believe in it? So resilience is so important. Like, I feel like once you step out, I mean, is there anything else that would scare you? Like, what would scare you? Like, because I suppose you've done so much. You've been on national television. You've been in front of millions on the TV screens. You're doing pole fitness. You've done loads of things in your life. Like, what more could there be to kind of put you out of your comfort zone?
But I think all those things do still scare me.
They do? Okay, interesting.
Like, I still get, if I was to do another theatre job, I would still get nervous
Yeah, okay.
before the first show. If I got another acting role, I'd still get nervous on my first day of set.
It's natural.
Like anything,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And I
true.
think if you're not nervous, I think there's something not something wrong, but I feel like it's more natural to be nervous than to go in and be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Like,
I'm
I'm
fine.
just perfect. I know it
Yeah,
all.
I've got this. I'd much more. I think you need those nerves to sort of to make you care and to make you up your game and to sort of to do that, to push you out of your comfort zone. So yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, if you could give your younger self some advice then, or anyone listening, like, what would that be?
It would be to do the work, like we were saying before. I'd love for my younger self to have had the resources available, to have had a space where she could have gone and just spoken about herself, about how she was feeling, about relationships. I think relationships is a massive one that when I've done the work now as a grown woman, how they affected me and my self-confidence and my self-worth. And there's a lot of things I would not stand for that I just, accepted. And to stand up for herself more, to not be scared to use her voice. Yeah. I think it's taken me a long time to find the confidence to speak my mind and to say, actually, I'm not okay with that, or no, just no is a full sentence, to have the confidence to go no, to not be as polite.
I mean, it happens in daily interactions, I feel like. I mean, I had someone, I think it was this event I was at the other day, like, you need to stop apologizing or something. And I was just like, I kind of just brushed it off. And I was like, why are you saying that to me? Because it's like, or you could say it in the moment, just kind of, you don't have to just go along with what someone says. Or I even have, when you walk into a room with your kids or something and someone says, oh, give me a hug, and they don't want to. Yeah. I now really voice to my children. I'm like, oh no, she doesn't want to give you a hug. Like, things like that. It comes up in daily interactions, and it's like, stand up for yourself, say your truth, and you don't have to worry about upsetting people. I'm bad for this. I just think I go along with people a little bit, and I need to be a bit more. No.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Not to be scared of how, if you're being true to yourself and how you feel, if that upsets someone else, that's a them thing, not a you thing.
Exactly.
If whatever you're saying or feeling is your truth and it's aligned with you, then it is on that other person to do that work, or to not be offended because something might not be personal. It's just how you feel. Yeah.
And has there been anyone you must have met some really cool people in your career. I mean, has there been anyone that stands out that's really inspired you, or something someone said? Like, who's been the most interesting person you've met, on your journey? Because you must have met a lot.
God, yeah. God, I've met so many amazing people, some that people will know and some that people won't. And I think that in itself is a blessing, isn't it? To cross paths with so many amazing people. But strong women, I think, is the biggest one. There's some incredible actresses that I've worked with over the years. Susie Blake jumps to mind. I did a show with her, a theatre show with her, and she's an older actress now. And I remember her being like coming in, and I was still quite young. I think I'd only just left Hollyoaks, so I was maybe 20,
right.
26. It was maybe the second time I'd left the show. And going into it was my first theatre job, and it was with an incredible director. It was just the Matthew Waterhouse, who actually directed Matilda, the film.
Wow.
Yeah, so an incredible director. So I don't know, I landed this job. It was just amazing, and worked with an amazing cast. And I remember Susie Blake, and I remember everyone sort of gravitating towards her and around her, and she just had this, I guess, this wisdom. She was this older actress. She'd been in the industry all her life. She knew what she wanted. She knew she was good. She wasn't apologising for everything. Yes. And everyone listened to it, including this, this world-renowned director that was just like, right, okay. And it wasn't a sort of, in a way that was stuck up, or, she wasn't full of her own self-worth in a negative way. She was just amazing. And so with people like that, I love looking at older women as my inspo, and I want women that are in their 20s or 30s to look up at me and go, oh my God, I want to be like Sarah when I'm older. And I look at people like Hannah Waddingham, who was in Ted Lasso, and she is just, I feel like you look at her and you can see her energy.
There's something about that woman. I watched that show and I was like, she was just the highlight.
She's like a powerhouse. And I remember she did had an iconic moment on the red carpet, didn't she? Because a photographer made a comment to her.
Oh, I didn't know
and
this.
They said something like, show us a bit more leg, and she was like, you wouldn't say that to a man. And I was like,
Yes, do it. Yes, I love
her.
that.
So yeah, I feel like the more strong female women that we have around us in our lives, or role models, but in our day-to-day lives, and that we can look at on social media and on TV and in the tabloids, and I feel like we will all benefit from that, men and women.
We need to look for, it's like that wise woman archetype. Like, I feel there's so much pressure on women to look younger these days, and like, I mean, it kind of scares me a bit on social media. I worry for my 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Like, I won't let her have a phone yet, because I'm just like,
I don't blame you. Yeah.
All of this, like, this is normalized to have these puffy lips and the Botox. And I'm not saying there's anything against that stuff, but I'm saying, but this is happening in 20-year-old younger, like, people that are going to have Botox at such a young age. And I'm like, you don't need this. Like, or they're having so much done to them, and I feel like it's changing so much, and there's like an ideal that we have to be like this skinny mentality of, it's getting better, it is getting better in weight wise, like more curved models and empowerment, but I'd say still for the perfection in face and features is hard. I mean, have you found that pressure? Like,
I don't know, I think I've just found that pressure generally as a woman, nothing to do with me being in the industry. I think just I look back to those magazines that I used to read when I was 14, and that were targeting young girls and to look a certain way, and even if it's what's now is great, it's like even like the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and
That's
they had some like more plus size models, and again the plus size is just ridiculous to say that,
breastfeeding a baby, didn't they, walking down the catwalk and stuff. That was really good.
So all of that is amazing, and I do think we're evolving, and again I think that's come with people like Alex Light and people like that actually speaking out about these things and how damaging these ideals can be for mental health and for creating things like people having eating disorders, and how it can just disrupt you and your life. And so I do think it's brilliant, but I think there's just there's a general pressure, isn't there,
to look being a younger woman. Though it feels like there's such a focus on looking younger, but I think it's so beautiful to age. Like, I honestly feel more confident in myself now I'm like 35 than I ever have done in my life. Like, and even though I know I probably got bags of it today from being a sleepless night with my little 2-year-old, but I'm like, it doesn't matter, like, because I'm living my purpose, and I feel like there's a lot of pressures, and it's like, why don't we look up to these older women that are like living authentically, purpose-driven life, instead of exactly just what they look like or trying to be younger, It's like having these positive role models is so important.
Oh, it's so important. And that's it. It's not about looks, is it? I mean, you look at, I think some of the most beautiful women, like Helen Mirren, I just think she looks beautiful, but because she's not pushed in the tabloids as here's a beautiful woman, she, there'll always be guaranteed that something about her age and how she's older, and rather than going, how beautiful does this woman look? Like, that's it. That's the full sentence. Yeah. That's all it needs to be. How beautiful is she?
I know that Reese Witherspoon is obviously gorgeous as well, but she's aging so beautifully. Like I love that she's doing a lot with like her book clubs, and she's doing like not just about how she looks. It's all about like learning and getting connected with her community, and like
she's doing
there's some people that are just really leading the way, and I think that's where the world needs to go instead of just on modeling and all that stuff. It's like interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do think I'm a like I have Botox, and I have Profilo, and I have I go and have facials, but I do all of those things. I started doing those things when I was early 30s, and I think then I didn't do them for me. I think I did them because I felt pressure to do them because other people were, and I was like, oh God, I better do that too. But now I can hand on heart say that those things just make me feel better.
Yeah, if you make you feel good, that's what's important. It's like, what I'm trying to get at was more just trying to, for other people, like satisfaction or how you look on socials.
I think also, to be honest, like, and I openly speak about those things because I like to sort of go, well, I have this, but I'm not going, you have it. I'm going, I have it because it makes me feel a certain way. Like, I go to the gym because it gives me endorphins. That's not about how I want to look aesthetically or for anyone else but myself, but it makes me feel better and it makes me feel stronger. So it's finding your thing. That thing might be for you running, a running club.
Exactly.
It might be walking. It might be going doing music lessons. It might be just hanging out with your mate. It might be that time on your own. It's just your thing. You have to find it. And again, it goes back to that word authentically, doesn't it? What is authentic to you and what aligns with you will be different for everybody. We can't follow people, but it's nice to have those positive role models that are living their lives authentically, to go, oh, look how beautiful and how happy they look.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's important.
Well, so to wrap up, I'd just do a little quick fire round at the end.
Okay.
Just a few questions. So is there a like a book or a podcast that's really inspired you lately?
So the book I spoke about in our talk, didn't I? It's called Pussy,
yes.
which is a controversial title, but it is reclaiming that word, and she's called Mama Jenna on social media, the lady that wrote it, and it's very much about women leaning into their femininity, giving themselves permission to be in their own skin. Yeah. That word has always been used as a negative, I think, for women, but actually it's what we're born from, and it's where if you look at like chakras and things like that, it's where
power.
our energy is, and it's for us to shut that part of us down, like our womb space, our where life is created.
I'm so passionate about this, like with that solar plexus region, and like it's like your sacral chakra. It's like enlivening that, just bringing it. It's our wisdom. It's like where we can carry children there, but it's also our source power and creativity.
It's just incredible, isn't it? And when you tap into that, and I think again when we come back to pole, like full circle on that, because pole is a lot of moving the hips and giving yourself permission. I think there's so much power in that for women. So that book is just like,
I love it.
I would recommend every single woman to pick that book up and read it, because it's just incredible.
Someone sent it me once, but I've not got it yet, so I need to read that.
Yes, read it.
Cold plunge or hot sauna?
Ooh,
or a bit of both?
I'm going to go cold plunge because we have one. I need to get back into using it. My husband uses it religiously. But when I was using it, the benefits was just feeling like invigorated and energized.
Feel so alive after doing it. Coffee or matcha?
Coffee.
Yeah, okay.
All day long.
All day.
All day long, yeah.
And finally, what legacy do you want to leave behind? So for those to remember you by, like your children, like your little boy, and what's that legacy?
I think if I look at it from my little boy's point of view, I want him to remember his mum as being strong and independent and being a voice for herself, standing in her truth, but also being that voice for other women.
Yeah, okay. I love that. Oh, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's been incredible, and I know so many will get so much out of it.
Oh, thanks so much.